The morning bell rang through Seoul Science High School. Students rushed to their classrooms, all except Ji-woo Kim. He walked slowly, hugging his books close to his chest. His glasses slid down his nose as he kept his head down. Ji-woo was 16 years old and the smartest boy in his grade. But being smart did not make him popular. In fact, it made him a target. "Hey, alien boy," a loud voice called from behind him. It was Taeho, the most popular boy in school. Taeho was tall with perfect hair and a perfect smile. He was everything Ji-woo was not. Ji-woo walked faster, but Taeho caught up easily. He knocked the books from Ji-woo's hands, sending them crashing to the floor. "Still looking for your alien friends?" Taeho laughed, and his friends joined in. "Maybe they'll come rescue you one day." Ji-woo said nothing as he picked up his books. The other students watched and giggled. No one helped him. No one ever did. "You're such a freak," Taeho said before walking away. "No wonder you have no friends." Ji-woo finally made it to class and took his seat at the back. The science teacher, Mr. Park, was talking about the solar system. This was Ji-woo's favorite subject. He loved thinking about stars and planets and what might live on them. "The chances of finding intelligent life in our universe are very small," Mr. Park said. "But Ji-woo might disagree, right? He's our resident alien expert." The class laughed. Even the teachers made fun of him sometimes. Ji-woo sank lower in his seat and said nothing. When lunchtime came, Ji-woo did not go to the cafeteria. He never did. Instead, he went to his special spot behind the school gym. It was quiet there. No one bothered him. He sat on the ground and opened his lunchbox. His mother always packed him the same thing: rice, kimchi, and a small piece of fish. It wasn't much, but he liked it. As he ate, he heard a strange sound coming from the bushes nearby. It was a soft, weak chirping. Ji-woo froze. He thought it might be a bird, but it didn't sound like any bird he had heard before. Slowly, he put down his lunch and crawled toward the sound. He pushed aside the leaves and gasped. There, lying on the ground, was the strangest creature he had ever seen. It was small, about the size of a kitten, but it was not a kitten at all. It had scales that shimmered blue and green in the sunlight. Its body was long and thin, with tiny legs ending in sharp claws. Two small, damaged wings lay flat against its back. And its eyes were bright yellow with black slits in the center. It looked like a dragon. A real, living dragon. The creature tried to move away when it saw Ji-woo, but its wing was hurt. It made that sad chirping sound again. "It's okay," Ji-woo whispered, even though he was scared too. "I won't hurt you." The creature stared at him. Those yellow eyes seemed so intelligent, almost like it understood him. Ji-woo looked at his lunch, then back at the creature. It looked hungry. Very carefully, he broke off a piece of his fish and held it out. The creature sniffed the air. Then, faster than Ji-woo expected, it snatched the fish from his hand and gulped it down. It made a new sound then, almost like a purr. "You were hungry, weren't you?" Ji-woo said softly. He offered another piece of fish, which the creature ate, more slowly this time. Ji-woo sat back on his heels, watching in wonder. Where had it come from? It couldn't be from Earth. Nothing on Earth looked like this. Could it be? No, that was silly. Aliens weren't real. That's what everyone said. That's why they laughed at him. But what else could this be? The bell rang in the distance, signaling the end of lunch. Ji-woo looked back toward the school, then at the creature again. He couldn't just leave it here. "I'll come back tomorrow," he promised. "Stay hidden, okay?" The creature tilted its head, watching him. Ji-woo gathered the rest of his lunch and stood up. "I'll bring more food," he said. Then he ran back to school, his heart pounding with excitement and fear. For the rest of the day, Ji-woo could hardly focus on his classes. His mind kept going back to the creature behind the gym. Was it still there? Would it survive the night? What if someone else found it? After school, Ji-woo rushed back to the spot, but the creature was gone. The bushes were empty. He felt a strange mix of disappointment and relief. Maybe he had imagined it all. But then he noticed something shiny on the ground. He bent down and picked it up. It was a scale, small and thin with that same blue-green shimmer. It was real. The creature was real. That night, Jiwoo couldn't sleep. He kept the scale under his pillow, taking it out to look at it every few minutes. He searched online for animals that matched what he had seen, but found nothing. The next day, Jiwoo packed extra food in his lunchbox. He brought rice, more fish, and even some meat his mother had made for dinner the night before. When lunchtime came, he hurried to his spot behind the gym. At first, he saw nothing. His heart sank. "Hello?" he called softly. "Are you here? I brought food." A rustling came from higher up. Jiwoo looked up and saw the creature perched on a low branch of a tree. Its injured wing looked a little better. Today, though, it still didn't seem able to fly. Jiwoo smiled and sat down. He opened his lunchbox and held up a piece of meat. The creature watched him for a long moment. Then, to Jiwoo's surprise, it glided down from the tree, using its good wing to slow its fall. It landed right in front of him and sniffed at the meat. "Go on," Jiwoo said. "It's good." The creature ate from his hand. As it did, Jiwoo noticed more details about it. Its scales weren't just blue-green. They had flecks of gold in them, too. Its tail was long and ended in a small spade-shaped tip, and its face, it looked almost like it was smiling at him. "You need a name," Jiwoo said as the creature ate. "I can't just call you creature all the time." The creature looked up at him, those yellow eyes blinking slowly. "How about Byol?" Jiwoo suggested. "It means star in Korean, because I think you came from the stars." The creature, Byol, made that purring sound again. It seemed to like the name. For the first time in a long time, Jiwoo felt happy. He had found something amazing, something that was his secret alone. He had found a friend. "I'll take care of you," he promised Byol. "I'll help your wing get better, and I'll keep you safe." Byol chirped softly and moved closer to him. Jiwoo carefully reached out and touched its head. The scales were warm and smooth, like touching a sun-heated stone. As the lunch period ended, Jiwoo reluctantly got up to leave. "I'll be back tomorrow," he said. "Stay hidden, Byol. Stay safe." Byol watched him go, those intelligent eyes following him until he disappeared around the corner of the gym. What neither of them knew was that this was just the beginning. The small creature from the stars would change Jiwoo's life forever. And not just his life, the life of everyone on Earth. But for now, it was simply a boy and a strange little dragon, sharing lunch behind a school gym. A secret friendship that would soon shake the stars themselves. 3 weeks had passed since Jiwoo found Byol. Every day at lunch, he went to their special spot behind the gym. Every day, Byol waited for him, growing more excited each time Jiwoo appeared. Byol was growing fast. When Jiwoo first found him, the creature was the size of a kitten. Now he was as big as a small dog. His injured wing was healing well, and the scales on his body shone brighter than ever. "You're getting so big," Jiwoo said one day as he fed Byol pieces of chicken. "Soon I won't be able to hide you here anymore." Byol made a soft chirping sound and moved closer to Jiwoo. Over the weeks, Jiwoo had learned to read Byol's different sounds. This one meant he was happy. As Byol ate, Jiwoo noticed something strange. Whenever their eyes met, Jiwoo felt a weird tingling in his head. It was like someone was gently touching his mind. "What are you doing?" Jiwoo asked, rubbing his forehead. Byol stared at him with those intelligent yellow eyes. Suddenly, an image flashed in Jiwoo's mind, a vast dark sky filled with stars. Jiwoo jumped back, surprised. "Did you just put that picture in my head?" Byol chirped again, louder this time. He seemed excited. "Can you understand what I'm saying? Really understand?" Jiwoo asked. Byol nodded his head up and down. It was a human gesture, one that Jiwoo had never taught him. "Where are you from?" Jiwoo whispered. Another image appeared in his mind, a planet with 3 moons covered in blue oceans and strange purple forests. Jiwoo sat down hard on the ground. "You're really from another planet. You're an actual alien." Byol didn't seem to like the word alien. He made a low growling sound. "Sorry," Jiwoo said quickly. What should I call your kind? An image of many creatures like Biol, but much larger, with fully grown wings that sparkled in the light of 3 suns. Dragon. People? Jiwoo suggested. Biol seemed satisfied with this. He went back to eating his chicken. Jiwoo's mind was racing. All those years of being called alien boy for believing in life beyond Earth, and now he had proof right in front of him. But he couldn't tell anyone. They would take Biol away, lock him up, maybe even hurt him. I'll keep you safe, Jiwoo promised again. But we need a better hiding place. My home is too small and my parents would freak out if they saw you. Jiwoo thought for a moment. Near his house was an old storage shed that nobody used anymore. It was hidden behind some trees away from the road. I think I know a place, he told Biol. Can you follow me after school? It's not far. Biol made his happy chirping sound again. The bell rang, ending lunch period. Jiwoo reluctantly got up to go. Wait here until school ends, I'll come get you. For the rest of the day, Jiwoo could hardly focus on his classes. His mind kept going back to the images Biol had shown him. A planet with 3 moons, dragon people, with sparkling wings. It was more amazing than anything he had ever imagined. After school, Jiwoo rushed back to their spot. But as he approached, he heard loud voices. His heart dropped. It was Taiho and his friends. They were standing in a circle looking at something on the ground. Jiwoo's stomach turned when he realized what it was. Biol. What is this thing? Taiho was saying, poking Biol with a stick. Some kind of lizard? Don't touch it, it might be poisonous, one of Taiho's friends said. Biol was backed against a tree, his wings spread out in a threat display. He was hissing at the boys, but Jiwoo could tell he was scared. Stop it, Jiwoo shouted, running toward them. Leave him alone, Taiho turned and smirked when he saw Jiwoo. Oh look, it's Alien Boy. Is this your pet alien? Get away from him, Jiwoo said, trying to sound brave even though his legs were shaking. Or what? Taiho laughed. What are you going to do, nerd? Jiwoo didn't know what to do. There were 5 of them, and only 1 of him. But he had to protect Biol. I said leave him alone. Jiwoo pushed Taiho, surprising both of them with his boldness. Taiho's smile disappeared. You're dead, Kim. He grabbed Jiwoo by the collar and raised his fist. But before he could hit Jiwoo, something incredible happened. Biol let out a high-pitched sound, and a wave of blue light spread out from his body. It formed a dome around him and Jiwoo, pushing Taiho and his friends back. Taiho fell to the ground, his eyes wide with fear. What the hell is that thing? The blue light pulsed, growing brighter. Biol's eyes glowed like small suns. Run, Jiwoo said quietly to Taiho. And don't tell anyone what you saw. Taiho and his friends scrambled to their feet and ran away, shouting in fear. Jiwoo turned to Biol, who was still glowing faintly. You can make force fields? Jiwoo asked, amazed. The blue light faded, and Biol seemed suddenly tired. He sank to the ground, his wings drooping. Are you okay? Jiwoo knelt beside him, worried. Biol sent him an image, himself curled up, sleeping. That took a lot of energy, huh? Jiwoo said. Come on, let's get you to that safe place I mentioned. Jiwoo picked up Biol, who was now heavy but still small, enough to carry. He walked quickly away from the school, keeping to back streets and paths through small parks. Finally, they arrived at the old storage shed. It was made of wood, with a rusty metal roof. The door had a broken lock, so Jiwoo could easily push it open. Inside, it was dusty but dry. There were old shelves and a few broken chairs. It's not much, Jiwoo said, setting Biol down on an old blanket he found. But no one comes here. You'll be safe. Biol looked around, then settled onto the blanket. He still seemed tired from using his power. I'll bring more food tomorrow, Jiwoo promised, and I'll clean this place up. As Jiwoo turned to leave, he heard a sound outside. He froze, thinking Taiho and his friends might have followed them. But when the door opened, it wasn't Taiho. It was a girl from his class named Hijin. She was quiet and smart, and she sat near Jiwoo in science class. They had never really talked before. I saw what happened at school, she said softly, looking at Biol with wide eyes. I followed you, what is that? Jiwoo stepped in front of Byol protectively. You can't tell anyone. Hyejin stepped closer, her eyes filled with wonder, not fear. Is it some kind of new species? Or is it not from Earth? Jiwoo hesitated. Hyejin was smart. She had always been kind to him, never joining in when others made fun of him. He's called Byol, Jiwoo finally said. And yes, he's not from here. Instead of running away or calling him crazy, Hyejin smiled. It was the brightest smile Jiwoo had ever seen. I knew it, she whispered. I knew we weren't alone in the universe. She knelt down beside Byol, who was watching her carefully. Hello, Byol, I'm Hyejin. To Jiwoo's surprise, Byol chirped happily and moved toward her. He nudged her hand with his head, like a cat asking to be petted. He likes you, Jiwoo said, amazed. I won't tell anyone, Hyejin promised, but I want to help. We can take care of him together. For the first time, Jiwoo wasn't alone in his secret. He had Byol, and now he had Hyejin too. It felt strange, but good to have allies. Over the next few days, Jiwoo and Hyejin worked to make the shed comfortable for Byol. They brought blankets, water bowls, and lots of food. Hyejin even brought a first aid kit to help with Byol's wing. Byol continued to grow and get stronger. Soon he could send more complex images to both Jiwoo and Hyejin. They learned more about his world and his people. They also learned that Taiho and his friends were now afraid of Jiwoo. They no longer bullied him or called him names. Sometimes Jiwoo caught Taiho looking at him with a mix of fear and curiosity, but he never came close again. What Jiwoo didn't know was that everything was about to change. Byol had a secret, one that would soon bring 20,000 ships to Earth, and it all started with a schoolboy who was kind to a lost creature far from home. 3 months had passed since Jiwoo first found Byol. The little dragon was no longer little. He had grown to the size of a large dog, and his wings had fully healed. His scales now shimmered with all the colors of the rainbow when sunlight hit them. The old storage shed had become a cozy home. Jiwoo and Hyejin had added more blankets, a small heater for cold nights, and even some books and toys to keep Byol entertained when they were at school. Jiwoo and Hyejin came every day after school. They brought food and spent hours talking with Byol, learning more about his world through the mental images he shared. Byol could now send clearer pictures, almost like short movies in their minds. But one day something strange happened. Jiwoo arrived at the shed with his phone to show Byol some pictures of stars he had taken with his telescope. As soon as he pulled out the phone near Byol, it died. That's weird, Jiwoo said, trying to turn it back on. I charged it this morning. Hyejin took out her own phone. It was working fine until she moved closer to Byol. Then it shut off too. Byol, are you doing something to our phones? Hyejin asked. Byol made a chirping sound that they now knew meant yes. Why? Jiwoo asked. Byol sent them an image. Strange, metal parts arranged in a pattern. Do you need our phones? Hyejin asked, confused. Byol shook his head. He sent another image. Himself pulling energy from the phones, but not the phones themselves. You need the electricity? Jiwoo guessed. Byol chirped excitedly. What for? Jiwoo asked. Instead of showing them, Byol walked to the corner of the shed. With his claws, he pushed aside some blankets. Underneath was a strange device. It was made of bits of metal, wires, and small glowing stones that looked like nothing Jiwoo had ever seen before. What is that? Hyejin whispered, kneeling down to look closer. Byol sent them an image, the device sending a beam of light up into the sky, reaching the stars. It's a signal, Jiwoo said, his eyes wide. You're building a way to contact your home. Byol chirped again. What else do you need to finish it? Hyejin asked. Byol showed them images of more electronics. A radio, a small computer, copper wires. We can get those things, Jiwoo said. But Byol, why are you building this now? What will happen when you contact your people? Byol didn't answer. He just looked at them with those intelligent yellow eyes, then went back to working on his device. Over the next week, Jiwoo and Hyejin brought the items Byol needed. They had to use their saved money to buy some of them. Jiwoo even sold his telescope to get enough for a small laptop. As Biol worked on his device, strange things began happening around the world. The news reported unusual patterns in radio signals. Astronomers noticed odd movements of objects near the edge of the solar system. Electrical devices would randomly fail in entire neighborhoods. At school, there was a special assembly. A man in a dark suit spoke to all the students. "My name is Agent Lee," he said. "I am from the National Intelligence Service. We are investigating reports of unusual activities in this area. If any of you have seen anything strange, anything at all, please report it to your teachers or directly to us." Jiwoo and Hyejin exchanged worried looks. Did they know about Biol? How could they? After the assembly, Jiwoo overheard Taeho talking to his friends. "I told you that thing wasn't normal," Taeho was saying. "Maybe I should tell them about it." Jiwoo's heart raced. He hurried to find Hyejin. "Taeho might tell them about Biol," he said, panic in his voice. "We need to talk to Biol," Hyejin said. "We need to know what's really going on." They rushed to the shed after school. Biol was there, adding the final pieces to his device. "Biol, we need to talk," Jiwoo said firmly. "Government agents are asking questions. Taeho might tell them about you. What is happening? What will happen when you finish this signal?" Biol looked at them for a long moment. Then he sent the clearest, most detailed image yet. It wasn't just a picture. It was like a story playing. In their minds, they saw Biol as a baby dragon being placed in a small ship. They saw older dragons with sad eyes watching the ship leave. They saw the ship flying through space, approaching Earth. Something went wrong. A flash of light, damage to the ship. They saw the ship crash in the woods near their school. They saw Biol crawling out, injured and scared. But there was more. They saw Biol's people, the Saradine they called themselves, a peaceful race that had been watching Earth for centuries. They saw thousands of ships, waiting at the edge of the galaxy, waiting for a signal, Biol's signal. When the vision ended, Jiwoo and Hyejin sat in stunned silence. "You're not just lost," Jiwoo finally said. "You were sent here as a test." Biol shook his head. He sent another image. Biol as a bridge between two worlds. "An ambassador," Hyejin said softly. "You're an ambassador." Biol chirped happily. "And these ships," Jiwoo said. "What will they do when they come? Will they hurt us?" Biol looked offended. He sent an image of his people sharing knowledge with humans, teaching them, helping them grow. "They want to help us?" Hyejin asked. Biol nodded. "But why me?" Jiwoo asked. "Why did you choose me to find you?" Biol sent an image of Jiwoo's brain, glowing with a special light that matched the light of the Saradine's home star. "You have compatible brainwaves," Hyejin said, understanding before Jiwoo did. "You can communicate with them better than most humans." Jiwoo remembered all the times he had been called Alien Boy, all the times he had been laughed at for believing in life beyond Earth. Now it turned out he had been right all along, and more than that, he had been chosen. "What happens now?" Jiwoo asked. Biol turned back to his device and placed the final piece. It began to glow with a soft blue light. A humming sound filled the shed, growing louder. "Is it working?" Hyejin asked. Biol nodded. He sent them an image. The signal traveling through space, reaching the waiting ships. Then the ships moving toward Earth. "How many ships are coming?" Jiwoo asked. Biol sent the number directly into their minds. 20,000. 20,000 ships, Hyejin gasped. "When will they arrive?" Biol showed them. 3 days. 3 days? Jiwoo felt his legs go weak. "The whole world will panic. We need to prepare people somehow." Biol looked sad. He sent them an image of humans reacting with fear, with weapons. Then another image. Jiwoo and Hyejin standing with Biol, speaking to the leaders of Earth. "Yue, want us to help you talk to our leaders?" Jiwoo asked. Biol nodded. "But we're just kids," Hyejin said. They won't listen to us. Bial sent one last image. Jiwoo and Hyejin surrounded by a blue light, speaking words that everyone on Earth could hear in their minds. You can make that happen? Jiwoo asked. Bial chirped. Yes, he could. As they left the shed that night, Jiwoo and Hyejin looked up at the sky. It looked the same as always, stars twinkling peacefully. But somewhere up there, 20,000 ships were heading toward Earth, and only 3 people on the whole planet knew they were coming. What do we do? Hyejin asked quietly. Jiwoo took a deep breath. We trust Biol, and we get ready to speak for all of humanity. The next day, the first signs appeared. Strange lights in the sky that no one could explain. Satellite communications began to fail. The news was full of scientists and government officials trying to explain what was happening. No one mentioned aliens. But Jiwoo knew that would change very soon. In just 2 more days, everything would change forever. And it had. All started because he had been kind to a strange creature behind his school gym. The morning after Biol sent his signal, Jiwoo woke up to the sound of his phone buzzing nonstop. He picked it up and saw dozens of messages from classmates, all saying the same thing. Look at the news. Jiwoo turned on his television. Every channel was showing the same images. Strange lights in the sky all over the world. Scientists called them atmospheric anomalies. Military experts called them unknown flying objects. But Jiwoo knew what they really were, the first signs of the Ceridine ships approaching Earth. His phone rang. It was Hyejin. Are you seeing this? She asked, her voice shaking with excitement. Yes, Jiwoo said. It's happening faster than Biol said. We need to go to him now. I'll meet you at the shed in 20 minutes, Hyejin said. Jiwoo's parents were glued to the TV, so he slipped out without them noticing. The streets were strangely empty. Everyone was inside, watching the news, wondering what was happening to their world. When Jiwoo reached the shed, Hyejin was already there. She was standing outside, looking up at the sky with wide eyes. Even in daylight, strange lights could be seen moving across the blue. They're here, she whispered. Inside the shed, they found Biol, but he wasn't the same Biol they had left yesterday. He seemed to be glowing from within, his scales brighter than ever. He stood taller, his posture more regal. Biol? Jiwoo said hesitantly. Are you okay? Biol turned to them. His eyes now glowed like golden lamps. He sent them an image, a mountain, far from the city. They needed to go there. Why? Hyejin asked. What's at the mountain? Biol showed them. It was a place where he could fully transform, where he could properly welcome his people. Transform? Jiwoo repeated. What do you mean? In answer, Biol stretched his wings. They had grown even larger overnight, now spanning the width of the shed. They sparkled with all the colors of the rainbow, like living jewels. You can fly now? Hyejin asked. Biol chirped happily. Yes, he could fly, and he wanted Jiwoo and Hyejin to come with him. You want us to fly on your back? Jiwoo asked, not sure if he understood correctly. Biol nodded. He sent them an image of the 3 of them soaring through the sky toward the mountain. Jiwoo and Hyejin looked at each other. They were both scared but also excited. We should leave a note for our parents, Hyejin said. They'll be worried. What do we tell them? Jiwoo asked. That we're going with an alien dragon to meet a fleet of spaceships? We'll just say we're safe and we'll be back soon, Hyejin decided. She wrote quick notes for both their families on pages from her school notebook. Outside, they could hear sirens in the distance. The world was starting to panic. We need to go now, Jiwoo said. Biol lowered himself so they could climb onto his back. His scales were warm and smooth. Jiwoo sat in front, with Hyejin behind him, her arms wrapped around his waist. Hold on tight, Jiwoo said, gripping the ridge of scales along Biol's neck. Biol stepped out of the shed into the open air. He spread his magnificent wings, and with one powerful movement, pushed off from the ground. Jiwoo and Hyejin gasped as they rose into the sky. The feeling was incredible. The wind rushed past them as Biol climbed higher and higher. Below, the city grew smaller. Cars looked like toys, buildings like little blocks. People were pointing up at them, but Biol was flying so fast that no one could get a clear look. They soared over forests and fields, heading toward the mountains that lined the edge of their city. Biol flew with confidence as if he had been doing it all his life. "It's amazing," Hyejin shouted over the wind. Jiwoo couldn't even speak. He was overwhelmed by the beauty of it all, by the miracle of flying on the back of a dragon from another world. After about an hour, they reached the tallest mountain. Biol landed gracefully on a flat area near the top. The air was thin and cold, but Biol's body gave off heat that kept them warm. "What now?" Jiwoo asked as they slid off Biol's back. Biol stepped away from them. He stood in the center of the flat area and raised his head to the sky. Then something incredible began to happen. Biol's body started to glow, brighter and brighter, until Jiwoo and Hyejin had to shield their eyes. When the light faded and they could look again, Biol had changed. He was now 3 times larger than before. His wings stretched out enormous, each one as long as a bus. His scales had changed too, becoming more metallic, shimmering with blues and purples and golds. Around his head was something like a crown of silver spikes. He looked majestic, powerful, ancient. This was Biol's true form. This was what a full-grown Ceridine looked like. "You're beautiful," Hyejin whispered. Biol lowered his head to look at them. Despite his new size and appearance, his eyes were the same. Intelligent, kind, full of curiosity. He sent them a new kind of message. Not just images now, but words. They heard his voice in their minds, deep and musical. "My friends," Biol said, "the time has come for me to tell you everything." Jiwoo and Hyejin sat down on rocks, prepared to listen. "My people, the Ceridine, have been watching Earth for centuries," Biol began. "We have seen your wars and your peace, your cruelty and your kindness. We have debated whether to make contact with you. Some of my people believe humans are too violent, too unpredictable. Others believe you have great potential. So we decided on a test. We would send a youngling, me, to see if humans would show compassion to a strange creature in need, or react with fear and violence. You were so small when we found you," Jiwoo said. "Was that part of the test?" "Yes," Biol replied. "I was made to look weak and injured. I was placed near your school because our scanners had detected something special about you, Jiwoo. Your brain patterns match the patterns of Ceridine healers. You have what we call the empathy gift." Jiwoo blinked in surprise. "Me? Special?" "Very special," Biol confirmed. "When you showed me kindness, when you shared your food and cared for me despite my strangeness, you proved something important to my people. You proved that humans and Ceridine could understand each other, could be friends. That's why you stayed with me, even when you could have left," Jiwoo realized. "Yes. And now the fleet comes. 20,000 ships carrying representatives from all the worlds of the Ceridine Federation. They come in peace to offer Earth membership in our galactic community." "What does that mean for Earth?" Hyejin asked. "It means sharing of knowledge, cures for diseases, clean energy technology, solutions for your climate crisis, access to the stars." Biol's mental voice was filled with excitement. "But it must be Earth's choice. We will not force ourselves upon you." "There will be fear," Jiwoo said. "People will be scared of things they don't understand." "That is why I need you," Biol said. "Both of you. You will be the bridge between our peoples. You will help humans understand that we come as friends." As if on cue, the sky began to change. The blue darkened, and stars became visible, even though it was still day. And among the stars, new lights appeared. Thousands of them, moving in perfect formation. The Ceridine fleet had arrived. Jiwoo and Hyejin watched in awe as the ships filled the sky above them. They were beautiful, shaped like giant teardrops, glowing with soft blue light. "What happens now?" Jiwoo asked softly. Now, Biol said, we greet my people, and then we face yours. In the distance, they could hear helicopters approaching. The human world had noticed them, had tracked their flight to the mountain. Soon they would have to explain everything. Jiwoo looked at Hyejin, then at Biol. He felt afraid but also proud. The bullied boy, the alien freak, was about to become the most important human on Earth. I'm ready, he said, standing up straight. Let's change the world. Biol lowered his massive head and touched it gently to Jiwoo's forehead. A warm feeling spread through Jiwoo's body, and suddenly he could sense the minds of the Saradine in their ships above. They were curious, excited, hopeful. They were just like him. Different on the outside, but the same where it mattered. As the helicopters came into view, Jiwoo took a deep breath. The moment of truth had arrived. The moment when humanity would learn it was not alone in the universe. And it had all started because a lonely boy had been kind to a lost creature far from home. The military helicopters landed one by one on the flat area of the mountain. Soldiers jumped out pointing guns at Biol, Jiwoo, and Hyejin. Behind them, men in suits emerged, looking both scared and amazed. Step away from the creature. One soldier shouted through a megaphone. Jiwoo and Hyejin stood their ground. They moved closer to Biol instead of away. It's okay, Jiwoo shouted back. He's friendly. He wants to talk. One of the men in suits stepped forward. Jiwoo recognized him as Agent Lee, the same man who had spoken at their school. Kim Jiwoo, Agent Lee said. We've been looking for you and Park Hyejin since your parents reported you missing. Now I see why you ran away. We didn't run away, Hyejin said. We came to help Biol welcome his people. Biol? Agent Lee looked up at the massive dragon. You named it? He named himself, Jiwoo corrected. And he's here to help Earth, not hurt it. Those ships up there, they're friendly too. The sky above them was now filled with the Saradine ships. They hung silently in the air, a beautiful and terrifying sight. The whole world was watching through satellite images and news helicopters circling at a safe distance. How do we know that? Agent Lee asked. How do we know they're not here to invade? Biol lowered his massive head until it was level with Agent Lee's. The man stepped back, clearly afraid. If they wanted to invade, Jiwoo said, they could have done it without warning. They have technology far beyond ours, but they don't want to fight, they want to talk. To you? Agent Lee raised an eyebrow. A high school student? Yes, Jiwoo said with more confidence than he had ever felt before. To me, Biol chose me because I showed him kindness when he was small and injured. That's what the Saradine wanted to know, about humans. Can we show compassion to those who are different from us? Agent Lee seemed to consider this. He spoke into a small radio on his collar, listening to the response through an earpiece. The president wants to speak with Biol, he finally said. Can it understand me? In answer, Biol's eyes glowed brighter. Suddenly, everyone on the mountain heard his voice in their minds. I understand you perfectly, Agent Lee, Biol said, and I would be honored to speak with your leader, but I will only do so with Jiwoo and Hyejin at my side. They are my chosen ambassadors to Earth. The soldiers lowered their guns, shocked at hearing Biol's voice in their heads. Agent Lee spoke into his radio again, then nodded. The president is on his way, he said. He'll be here within the hour. Until then, no one makes any sudden moves. As they waited, more helicopters arrived. News crews set up cameras at a distance. Important-looking people in suits and military uniforms gathered. Above them, some of the Saradine ships moved lower, their blue light illuminating the mountaintop. Jiwoo saw a familiar face in one of the newly arrived groups. It was Taiho, along with his parents. Taiho's father was an important government official. Taiho stared at Jiwoo with wide eyes, then at Biol, then at the ships above. For once, the popular boy had no words. Jiwoo walked over to him. Remember when you called me alien boy, he said. Turns out you were right. Taiho opened and closed his mouth like a fish. I'm sorry, he finally said. For everything. It's okay, Jiwoo said. If you hadn't bullied me, I might never have eaten lunch alone behind the gym. I might never have found Biol. A larger helicopter arrived with special markings. The president had come. He was a serious-looking man with gray hair. He walked directly to where Byul, Jiwoo, and Hyejin stood. "I never thought my job would include meeting aliens," the president said, looking up at Byul. "But here we are." "Here we are indeed," Byul's voice echoed in everyone's minds. "Thank you for coming, Mr. President. I am Byul, Junior Ambassador of the Ceridine Federation. We come in peace and friendship." "What does your federation want from Earth?" the president asked. "Not what we want from you," Byul corrected gently. "What we want for you. The chance to join a community of worlds. The chance to grow beyond your current limits. The chance to reach the stars not as conquerors but as partners. And what would we have to give in return?" The president was cautious. "Friendship, respect for the rights of all beings, a promise to use our shared knowledge for peace, not war." The president looked thoughtful. "I need to discuss this with leaders from other nations." "Of course," Byul said. "But first I would like to show you all something." Byul raised his head to the sky and made a sound like singing. Above them, the largest Ceridine ship began to descend. It was massive, bigger than any human aircraft. As it lowered, a beam of light shot down, touching the ground near Byul. In the light, figures appeared. They were Ceridine, in their natural forms similar to Byul but each unique in color and size. They had no need for spacesuits or breathing equipment. They simply stepped from the light onto Earth soil. The first Ceridine to emerge was larger than Byul, with scales that shimmered like platinum. Around its neck hung a device that glowed with soft light. "This is Elder Zora," Byul told everyone. "Leader of the Ceridine High Council." Elder Zora looked at the humans gathered on the mountain. Then she focused on Jiwoo. "So this is the one." Her voice came to them all. "The human who showed kindness to our youngling." Jiwoo bowed slightly, not sure of the proper greeting. "I just did what anyone should do," he said. "Help someone who needed it." "But not everyone would," Elder Zora replied. "That is why you were chosen. That is why you will be the first human ambassador to the stars." Jiwoo felt his heart skip a beat. "Ambassador? Me? If you accept," Elder Zora said. "You have proven yourself worthy of the role." The president stepped forward. "With all due respect, he's just a boy. Our world has trained diplomats, experts in international relations, who have never met beings from beyond your world," Elder Zora interrupted. "Jiwoo has lived with Byul for months. He understands us in ways your experts cannot. And more importantly, we trust him." Hyejin took Jiwoo's hand and squeezed it. "You can do this," she whispered. Jiwoo looked around, at the soldiers and officials, at the news cameras broadcasting this moment to the entire world, at Taiho and the other students who had once mocked him, at Byul, who had changed his life forever, at the vast ships hovering in the sky. Then he looked at Elder Zora and took a deep breath. "I accept," he said, "but I want Hyejin with me. We're a team." Elder Zora made a sound like gentle laughter. "Of course, the bond between you is strong. It will be honored." Over the next few days, the world changed forever. The Ceridine shared their story with humanity. They had visited Earth many times throughout history, inspiring legends of dragons and cultures around the world. They had watched humans grow and develop, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. By chance, or perhaps fate, Byul had crashed near Jiwoo's school. The test that was supposed to take years had been compressed into months, and humanity had passed because one boy had shown kindness to a strange creature. The Ceridine brought gifts, clean energy technology, medical, advances that cured diseases thought incurable, ways to clean the oceans and air. They asked for little in return, only friendship and cultural exchange. 1 month after the first contact, Jiwoo stood on a platform at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Beside him were Hyejin, Byul, and Elder Zora. Before him were representatives from every nation on Earth. 6 months ago, Jiwoo began his speech, I was just a lonely boy eating lunch by himself behind the school gym. The other kids called me Alien Boy because I believed there was life beyond our planet. They laughed at me. They bullied me. Paused, looking up at the ceiling painted with stars. But now we know the truth. We are not alone, and the universe is more wonderful and strange than we ever imagined. As he spoke, Jiwoo thought about how much his life had changed. From bullied outsider to humanity's first ambassador to the stars, all because he had shown kindness to a small injured creature that needed help. Outside the United Nations building, people from around the world had gathered. They looked up at the night sky where 20,000 ships hung like new stars. Ships that had come because a boy had fed a stray baby dragon outside his school. The universe, it seemed, rewarded kindness in ways no one could have predicted. And somewhere in Seoul, behind an ordinary school gym, a small memorial had been placed. It was a simple stone with words carved into it. Here, humanity took its first step to the stars, all because one boy was kind.